All right, here we go. You guys know what to do. I'm going to sing hello. I want you guys to sing back, but please, please, please make sure that you are using your hand gestures. Okay, highs and lows for me, please. Me first. Hello, boys and girls. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Well, we are going to actually take a step away from lines and spaces today. Okay. And I do want to make sure that you guys are aware that the worksheet, like the form that you needed to fill out from before Thanksgiving, it was due last Tuesday, but there's still quite a few people who have not turned it in. So if you've not turned it in, please make sure you get that turned in ASAP. I want to make sure that everyone is feeling pretty good with the lines on the music staff before we go on to the spaces. So I'd like to hit some of the spaces next time if possible, but I need to make sure everyone has their stuff turned in. All right, please, please, please don't make me hunt you down. Get that in if you have not done that Google form. Okay. All right. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be diving into the ballet called the Nutcracker. Okay, now we've talked about the Nutcracker before, all right, and I know that we've done dances and things in the past with the Nutcracker, but I thought, you know what, we've never really um, kind of dove right into the actual story of the Nutcracker and where it came from and who wrote it and all of the fun things that go along with it. And then getting to move and kind of dance and do movements to some of the dances that come from the Nutcracker. So, over the next few music classes, we are going to be going on a little bit of an adventure. Okay, I have made a special Google slide presentation for you guys that kind of takes us on a little adventure. Today is the day that kind of sets up everything, so we learn um, a little bit more about the Nutcracker. We're going to be listening to a story to make sure everyone's on the same page. And then definitely starting on Thursday, we're going to be getting towards the more moving and grooving parts and the adventure part. So I want to get started right away with it. So today we will not need music kits. All right. But I want to get started. All right, Rooney. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I'm going to share my computer sound with you too. Excuse me. All right. Oh, I don't want to end the meeting. I just started with you guys. All right. All right. Now, if you see, I am in can you guys see my music classroom? Do you guys see it? Awesome. All right. Now, if you notice, if you go to my classroom, you're going to see the exact same thing. If you go to my music classroom, in this corner over here on my bookshelf, do you guys see a little Nutcracker now? Yes. Well, watch what happens when I click on the Nutcracker. Oh. I go to my Nutcracker room. Oops. All right. So, a few things I'd like to say. If you go to if you do go to my music page, and you go into my virtual classroom and you click on the Nutcracker, you will go to that Nutcracker room and it will play that music for you. Everything that glitters on that page goes to different things. Now, there is what you guys are doing, which is going to be the Nutcracker. And then the gingerbread house is very similar to what you're doing, but it's based a little bit more for some of the younger students at Star. So it looks similar, but it's not exactly the same. But other things are clickable. So if you want to explore that between now and next time or now and next week, That will be up from now all the way through our winter break. So if you want to check it out, it's there for you. And I will post the link to that virtual classroom in our Google Classroom if you want to see it. Okay. So, excuse me. We have Mrs. Porter and the Nutcracker Adventure. And if you notice, I'm even here in the corner. I made myself into an emoji. And here I am in my room, coming on in my train. Merry Christmas, and it's time to get to know the Nutcracker just a little bit more. So you guys have learned about the Nutcracker for a few years with me. We've done some of the music and we've done some of the dancing and all those different types of things, but we've never really talked about what the actual pieces of the Nutcracker, what the actual music comes from. And Peter Tchaikovsky is the gentleman that wrote the music, and that music comes from the actual performance of the Nutcracker, which is based on excuse me, which is based on a super famous ballet. So my question is, how many of you know what a ballet is? Give me a thumbs up if you know what a ballet is. Give me a thumbs to the side if you've heard of it, but you're not quite sure what it is. Give me a thumbs down if you have no idea and you would like me to give you a little bit of a hint. Okay. Seeing all sorts of stuff. Perfect. Awesome. A lot of people that know, a lot of people that have heard of it. That's great. All right. Well, a ballet is a performance unlike any other. All right. a ballet is actually a really unique performance because in a ballet, there is no talking. There also is no singing. So in a ballet, there's going to be a story that gets told, but nobody sings and nobody talks. In fact, the way that they tell the story is through dancing. All right. Now, oftentimes in ballets, you are going to see dancers that are going to be either on point, like on their tiptoes, or they're going to be doing a very certain type of dance that is called a ballet. All right. That is a ballet style. But in a ballet, they're going to show you and explain and direct you to understand the story all through their dancing and through their music. All right, so, and that dancing you saw right there was probably the best dancing Mrs. Porter can do. All right, you will not see me in a ballet anytime soon. I think they're beautiful, but I'm not a very good dancer. So, my question first is, who's the guy that wrote it? All right. Who wrote all the music that we hear every single year around Christmas time? Who wrote all this music? And the answer is his name is Peter Tchaikovsky. Everyone say Peter Tchaikovsky. Yes. Peter Tchaikovsky. Everyone say go. Peter Tchaikovsky. Yes, yes, yes. Now, Peter Tchaikovsky wrote the music for the Nutcracker in 1892. So that was quite a while ago. Quite a while ago. And these songs are still famous today, both inside of the Nutcracker and in different types of movies and in different commercials and TV shows. We hear his music from the Nutcracker all over, especially during the winter months. All right. I will also tell you that he wrote the music and had it performed for the show, for the ballet The Nutcracker, in Russia. That's the first place it was performed. Russia. That is far away. That's like by China far away. All right. So, Peter Tchaikovsky is our composer, and that is one of the things I really want us to remember, that there is somebody that had to write the music to all of this cool stuff, and his name is Peter Tchaikovsky. The other thing I want you guys to know is that it was based on a book called The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. All right, so this music was put to an already established book. So how many of you guys have ever watched a movie but there's also a book that is about the same thing. Has anyone ever done that? Or you've seen like a movie that also was also a book? Yeah. You know, I would be interested for next time. Someone try to find an example of a movie that you have seen that is also a book. I bet there are way more than you even know. All right, way more than you even know. But the Nutcracker is a performance that was based on a book. So our excuse me, our composer Peter Tchaikovsky was helping out E.T.A. Hoffman, and he was putting the music to something that was already established. So they didn't necessarily work together. It was something that Tchaikovsky added to enhance the performance. So, what I want to do today, guys, is I want us to actually listen to the whole story of the Nutcracker. All right. And from there, we will go on our musical adventure. It starts very soon, but I want to make sure that we are all on the same page about the different types of music that we're going to be hearing and what is the actual plot of the Nutcracker. Okay. We are going to be listening to the entire thing today. All right. And as soon as we're done, all right, we might run a minute over, but when we are done, I would like you between now and next, I'll give you a week, all the way until next week. I would like you to be able to tell me, all right, I would like you to be able to tell me what the story is. So I'm not going to assign that work until next time, but if you need to listen to this one more time so you know what the story is, I will make sure that you have access to it. Okay, so here we go. Here is the Nutcracker. Excuse me.
Classical Kids Storytime from American Public Media. I'm Steve with our version of The Nutcracker. One December night, a very long time ago, a little girl named Clara was celebrating Christmas Eve in a big way. She and her brother, their parents, and all her cousins and aunts and uncles, plus the neighbors and their kids, were all there, dressed up in their Christmas best. The house was all dressed up too. It was decorated with wreaths and stockings, mistletoe, and boughs of holly. Right at the center was an enormous Christmas tree, drooping under the weight of ornaments and shiny garlands. Velvet bows and silver bells, tiny gingerbread men and candy canes, and hundreds of twinkling lights. Under the tree, piles of presents. Most were tantalizing mysteries wrapped in their Christmas paper, but some were unwrapped and on display, like the stuff grown-ups gave each other. And the army of brightly painted soldiers in their red coats with gold buttons and shiny black boots. Clara and her brother Fritz and the cousins played under the tree, creating a military parade with their toy soldiers. Clara let out a little shriek when she noticed a little mouse peeking out of a hole in the wall. And when she saw it creeping toward a box of chocolates on the floor under the tree, she sprang up to grab them. She was putting the chocolates safely on the table when she heard the door. It was her godfather. She was so proud that he was her godfather. He was a very successful toy maker, and some people even said his toys were a little bit enchanted. But Clara didn't know about that. Her godfather actually had made the very toy soldiers that they'd just been playing with, and had them delivered earlier in the day, so Clara wasn't expecting any other gifts from him. But then, her godfather announced that he had one more toy for his goddaughter. a wooden nutcracker carved in the shape of a little toy soldier. He was painted just like the other soldiers, except he had a captain's hat and a captain's gold braid. Clara was immediately fascinated and held the nutcracker carefully. Fritz was jealous, thinking the nutcracker would make a spectacular addition to the parade under the tree. So he snatched the nutcracker out of Clara's hands, and when she tried to get it back, he and the cousins played keep away, sending the poor nutcracker flying from hand to hand all over Clara's head. She watched in horror as one toss missed its target and the nutcracker hit the floor, broken. Clara burst into tears, but her godfather patched the nutcracker back together with a handkerchief and patted Clara on the shoulder. There, he said. He'll be okay after a little rest. Clara thanked him through her tears and carried her wounded captain to a quiet corner. Fritz, meanwhile, was feeling pretty awful that he'd broken Clara's toy. He slunk out of the party with a plan in his mind. An hour later, he returned and shyly offered a little nutcracker-sized wooden bed to Clara. I made it for you, for him to rest in and, get better and stuff. Clara hugged him and said thank you. Then she tucked her nutcracker into his new little bed. As the last of the guests waved goodbye, Clara crawled beneath the tree to check on the nutcracker one last time, and ended up falling asleep right there, curled around the little bed under the Christmas tree. At the stroke of midnight, Clara woke up. She wasn't sure what time it was. Was it Christmas yet? Had Santa come? It was still dark out, so she knew it wasn't morning. She rubbed her eyes to try to see a bit more clearly. When she looked up at the Christmas tree, she noticed, to her surprise, that it seemed to be getting bigger. In fact, the tree, the presents, the whole room seemed to be getting bigger. Or was she getting smaller? Suddenly, Clara's size became the least of her worries. Out of nowhere, gigantic mice dressed up in army uniforms began to circle the room. Clara rubbed her eyes again. She then saw that, yes, there were indeed mice in army uniforms scurrying about the room, and furthermore, there seemed to be a mouse king leading them and giving them commands. Excuse me, Clara called out. Excuse me, mice! Who are you battling exactly? Then she looked over to see that her nutcracker had also come to life-size life, and he had grouped the other toy soldiers into a battle formation to fight the mouse army. The toy soldiers were outnumbered, but they fought the mice bravely as the Mouse King and the Nutcracker Captain faced off in a one-on-one sword fight. The rest of the mice closed in around the king and the Nutcracker, biting at his feet and making him stumble. Clara could see that the Mouse King was just about to deliver a terrible blow when she made a desperate move to save her Nutcracker. She threw her slipper at the Mouse King. It hit him directly on the head, leaving him dizzy and stunned. Now an easy target for the Nutcracker. He proclaimed victory and thanked his troops, and the Mouse Army picked up their dazed king and carried him away. Clara had been hiding under the Nutcracker's bed, which now seemed to look more like a sleigh than a bed. Snow was falling, which was weird because they were indoors. And the snow wasn't cold somehow, but boy, was it sparkly. She looked over at her Nutcracker and did a little double take. He was still dressed in his red and gold soldier's uniform, but instead of a round wooden head and painted eyes, she saw a handsome young prince. The prince helped Clara into the magical sleigh, and it began to move deeper into the forest, while the most beautiful snowflakes she'd ever seen danced and swirled all around them. The snowflakes led them all the way through the snow forest into what appeared to be an entire kingdom made of desserts. Everywhere, desserts, sweets, candies, every imaginable treat, cake, candy, and confection you could possibly think of. There were mountains of immense chocolate cookies topped with whipped cream whiter than snow, glittering flowers made out of sugar and buttercream frosting everywhere she looked. As the sleigh came to a stop, Clara heard what sounded like the tinkling bells of a music box, the kind with a tiny perfect ballerina who danced on the tip of her toes. And then she saw the perfect ballerina. She looked like she was covered in tiny diamonds, but Clara realized with surprise that her dress and tiara and even her shoes were made from sparkling white sugar. She was the Sugar Plum Fairy, and she invited them to a grand feast to welcome them to the Kingdom of Sweets. Clara and the prince were seated on a huge plush rug on the floor, and then the dancing began. Dancers from Spain spun into the room. Leaping and twirling as they brought the guests mugs filled with hot cocoa made from rich Spanish chocolate. Arabian women in veils danced like rising steam as they offered Clara and the prince hot Arabian coffee. Chinese dancers delivered Mandarin tea. Then, Russian men in fur hats and loud boots sprang into the room to deliver candy canes. Sweet shepherdesses with blonde braids and rosy cheeks brought their gift of the almond sugar known as marzipan. And then a ruckus. A giant gingerbread woman called Mother Ginger danced in. 8 little ginger children came tumbling out from under the frosting ruffles of her gingerbread skirt.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, I thought we had more time than we did, but we only have 1 minute left, and I don't want to keep you guys over because I know that everyone has places that they have to go from here. So we will continue this on Thursday. And like I said, we will then start with some of the movements and we'll go on with the adventure portion of the presentation. So I just wanted to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page. And I am looking forward to getting to do that with all of you guys. So I will see you on Thursday. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to sing goodbye. You guys sing goodbye after me. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye, boys and girls. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will finish Nutcracker on Thursday. See ya. Bye.